Good day. Money. Money is a tough one, and money and incentives. There is a belief that people enjoy money. No one disputes that. There's also a belief that if you provide someone money, that they'll work harder. Many people dispute that. We know that money's a poor motivator at best. Money only motivates in certain situations. And let's talk about some of those now. First is that money has to be important to the recipient. There are some people that money isn't important to. There are some people that travel isn't important to, but yet there are some organizations that'll offer a trip to Europe or Hawaii if you meet a certain standard. Some believe if you give a watch, a Rolex watch, that people will be motivated. I don't enjoy Rolex watches. I've always been a Patek Philippe person, and those are the watches that I have. So Rolex wouldn't motivate me. But the money that is given has to be important to the recipient, which leads us to the second aspect of money and incentives, which is it has to be enough. To have some money is good, but it has to be enough to truly motivate the individual. What's enough? Herein lies one of the issues with money and motivation. We've learned that motivation is an inner individual response, which means what motivates some person would not necessarily motivate the other. So you have to find out what motivates somebody and then try as best you can to give that person the motivation via the reward. So money, in this case, is different for each person. So what would motivate someone in terms of money may not motivate the other in terms of the amount of money that's given. Third is something that most people don't think about, but I think is as important as the first two. And that is, we know that money's a poor motivator, and we also know that people will only be motivated if you continue to give them what the reward is. So in this case, we have to ensure that the flow of money is continual. Money lasts in a matter of months. People raise their standard of living, and they also believe that they're worth the additional money. So they tend to, instead of buying the Honda Accord, they buy the Acura or the Lexus. So their standard of living rises, as does their financial capabilities. And that's why money is a poor motivator. People are always looking for more. So if you are going to motivate on money, make sure that it is continual. And the last is probably the least important to employees, most important to the organization, which is you have to make sure that money's closely tied to performance. True, there are some employees that want to see an immediate result of the money and the performance. If I perform at this level, I want the money that follows. Organizations, too, want to make sure that if we're going to expend money, it should be worth it. We should have a return on that money, and therefore, we have no problems providing those rewards to motivate employees because we also have received the awards and the rewards of a person's work ethic and work product. But this is a tough one because performance is debatable in relation to how a supervisor sees someone's performance and how an employee does. As I've mentioned before, 90% of employees rate themselves higher and as more valuable than their supervisor does. So therein lies how incentives work. If you're going to use money, which so many do, then you have to make sure that money is important to the recipient. You have to ensure that the amount of money that you're given is enough to motivate them. You have to ensure that money's and the flow of money is continual. You're going to have to look at every 3 to 6 months having some type of monetary compensation, bonus, or increase. And lastly, you have to make sure that the money is closely tied to performance. Money is a poor motivator, but it can motivate, especially when it's continual and it's enough to motivate somebody. But definitely choose other options as well. Money should never be the only tool in your motivational tool bag. Enjoy the day.